Alright, hey viewers, this is WatchMeSC, and welcome to League of Legends Tutorials, the first episode, where we are going to be going over all of the pre-game planning that you do for your League of Legends games. So we're going to help out some newbies here, and maybe give a little bit of tips to the more experienced players. So tonight I have with me Jay.
Hello guys.
And I also have Al.
Hey everybody.
So I got these two off of my YouTube. I posted a video asking if anyone wanted to do some commentating with me, and they both were more than happy to do it. So thanks, guys, for joining me.
No problem. It should be fun.
Yeah, look forward to it.
All right, so we're just going to get right into it, and we're going to start off by talking about masteries, which are, one of the first things you get to experience when you play League of Legends. You start up the game, and your first level, you already have a mastery point, so it's already time to make decisions. So we're just going to go over, basically the first key point we have here is champ optimization, which means basically for every champ there's, one or two, maybe three setups for masteries that are optimal depending on how you want to play that champion. For example, I'll just use the champion that I played the other day, Garen. Oh, that's a loud-ass airplane going past my house. Hold on. Okay.
We can't even hear it.
Oh, okay. Well, perfect. That's good. Anyway, so I was playing Garen the other day, and obviously if anyone has played Garen, they know he's like a tanky DPS type character, and he can be built as a tank, which is not necessarily as viable anymore, but still works, and he can also be built as like a DPS. So, you can build Garen, 9, 21-0, or 21-9-0, or 21-0-9, depending on what you need. And since I've been talking for the past 2 minutes, I'll let you guys talk a little bit about what you think champ optimization and masteries means. I'll let Jay go first.
Well, it definitely does. Like you said, it depends on the champion. Garen, who is very, very versatile, he can be played various different ways. But such champions, like for example, AD carries usually go 21-0-9, and like the pure tanks such as Malphite, Rammus are more likely to be going 0-21-9. However, it doesn't mean you have to do them that way. There's several different builds you can run, and it does really all come down to finding your own playstyle. Even if it's a tank, people can play tanks aggressively, defensively. It just comes down to finding your own playstyle and really suiting that really. What do you think, Al?
I completely agree with the find your own playstyle. For example, when I play Ashe, I go 9-21-0. I go all the way down the defensive mastery just so my laning phase is that much stronger.
What did you
I don't
say your
take as
masteries
much...
were again for Ashe?
I didn't say my masteries for Ashe, but number-wise, I go 9-21-0. I go all the way down defense. Because it gives you more HP for your Doran's item, which I always start with a Doran's item. And it lets you stay in lane, because with that additional armor and HP regain, you're going to be staying in lane longer because you're going to be taking less damage from creep aggro, less damage from the harass, and if you have Strength of Spirit, if you're a mana champion, your HP regain will be increased.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like we said, you can build a champ, like Jay said, you can build a champ in many different ways, and that's one specific example that you have tested and, find to be good for you. Even if you go to, Leaguecraft or whatever, MOBA Fire, I hear a lot of people saying that. I've never been to that, but there's apparently builds on that site or whatever it is. Even if you go on a build, or like Leaguecraft, and you find an Ashe build that says, this is the best Ashe build, 21-9-0, and, you play his build 20 times and you're like, well, this sucks, and I don't like the way this plays. I think that's a lot of, the way you build your masteries has a lot to do with your playstyle, kind of like Jay said. Even if you're going an AD carry, 9-21-0, if it's effective, can be effective. I don't really know how else to say that. It's kind of repetitive, but you can make it work even if it doesn't seem optimal.
Well, yeah, if you've got, for example, a defensive playstyle, if you put, all 30 points in offense, even just because a guide says so, and then just sit back and get harassed, pushed out a lane, you're going to be behind on levels, you're going to be behind on farm, and it's just going to completely not work for you.
Hello?
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 Yeah, I thought the call dropped for a second. Yeah, I myself am a very defensive player, so I design my masteries and my runes towards my playstyle. I focus on last hit and not getting harassed. So that's why I go 21 in defense. It just keeps me safer and it keeps me in lane longer.
Yeah, I agree. Well, with that in mind, like, all the champions can be built in, like I said, between 1 and 3 ways, I think is about the average way that a champ can be built through masteries. Between 1 and 3 ways. But one of the things that you want to, I think, keep, how do I say this? You want to achieve every time is the key breakpoints, is what I like to call them. Al didn't really know what I was talking about, and I don't think Jay did really either, so I'll explain it to, the viewers. But a key breakpoint is, like, you always hear everyone say they go, 9, 0, 21 on most, like, AP champions. The 9 is very key because it's a key breakpoint. You put 9 points into the offensive tree and you get the 1 key point in the 15% spell penetration, which in my opinion is a key breakpoint. Just like any of the 21s, when you reach the top of the mastery tree, you get a key breakpoint, which is plus 5% damage, plus 4% damage resistance, or 15% summoner spell cooldown. But there's other key breakpoints too, like in utility, you can go, I think, 11 down the utility tree, and you can either get the 3 points in increased mana regen, or, as Al said, I'll let him explain this a little better, you can get the 1 point in gold and the 2 points in utility mastery, which increases the duration of your buffs. But I just want to point out that you don't always have to go not some form of 21 and 9, whether it be 9-0-21, 21-0-9, whatever. You don't always have to go that. You can go other builds. So I'll pass it off to Jay here.
Like you were saying, for the improved movement speed, it is 15 in utility, which you are going to hit one breakpoint, but you're not going to hit the main one at the bottom because you obviously haven't got the 21 points at the bottom. And another huge variation is junglers. For example, like a jungler tank, you're always going to have pretty much the improved smite, no matter who you are jungling as a tank, which automatically is going to mean that you cannot get to one of your breakpoints. So then you have to sort of choose, are you going to go all out utility or all out defense? And that's sort of where the variations come in. There's I can't even imagine, there's probably must be a million different combinations you can do with masteries, and they really are sort of going to affect how your character plays. Have you got any thoughts, Al?
Yeah, going on the jungle masteries. Right now I have my mastery set up 15-4-11 because I was playing Jungle Lee Sin earlier. And I go for the brute force, increased attack damage mastery and offense. I get the armor and 1 magic resist in defense, and I go all the way down to 2 in utility mastery and 1 in the gold mastery, simply because I'm roaming all the time. It gives me increased defense so I can stay in jungle longer. It gets me the increased attack damage from my scaling on my abilities, and it gets me the 2 points in utility, which greatly increase my jungling ability. The key breakpoints are definitely noticeable, like the movement speed, increased health and defense, and the magic pen. But it all depends on the playstyle and the character that you're playing, as we said earlier, where you're going to break your masteries off.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with basically everything. And once we get down to selecting your champ, and that's one of the other topics we're going to talk about. We'll have a little bit more about the masteries then, and we can talk about how you should build your masteries after you see how the team has been built. So for masteries, I think that's about it. Do you guys have anything else to add before we move on?
I have one little thing. It's going back to when we were on about Ashe, and Al said he likes to go 9-21-0. One thing to note about Ashe even is passive, the crit chance. I really do favour at least getting lethality, which increases your champion's critical damage by the 3.3% or 6.6 or up to a full 10% with the entire 3 points in it. Because Ashe's passive constantly gives you more crit chance, you usually focus a build around using that passive to great effect. Infinity Edge is a great item to have on her, just due to that. And then when you synergize that with the mastery, it just like helps the bonus of Infinity Edge a lot with the crit damage. And again, different champions definitely have different things. Like Ash was just an example of one champion we brought up, but it's also like key to note on what skills do what, and like such champion passive abilities can affect how you put your mastery points.
Oh yeah.
I can agree with that. It's more akin to my play style. I enjoy playing passively, and I don't maximize the use out of her passive in lane aside from that first hit. So, I mean, I'm always last hidden, so my passive is going to be pretty low the entire time.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, like you both said, I mean, I agree with Jay that, you know, lethality, it's like right before the very bottom one. You need to put like 18 points or 19 points in it to get it. But it does have a good effect on Ashe, whereas it wouldn't have as good of effect on a different AD carry like Caitlyn, who doesn't have that scaling critical strike ability. But I also agree with L, like, although that is beneficial, if it doesn't benefit your specific playstyle, it won't be nearly as effective as 3 points in, you know, preventing physical damage from everyone.
Yeah, that's definitely true. If you got to like run through the minion line to get off one crit and then run all the way back through the minion line and like just basically take as much damage as you dealt, it's pointless. It does depend on your playstyle.
Yeah, so now let's go into a probably going to be a pretty short one, but who knows. We'll go into runes next. And here, I mean, everyone knows about runes. Everyone who's watching this knows what runes are. Obviously, if you don't, I guess I'll go over them quickly. You purchase them in the shop for IP. You can't buy them with rune RP, so you have to earn them via IP and through games. And they're another set of add-ons, just like masteries, but a little bit different. And basically, I want to talk about whether it's best when you're first buying your runes, not like later on when you have IP to spare and you've already bought all the champs, then who cares, you can do whatever you want with your IP. But early on, this is kind of like I'm going to take my stand, and if you guys agree, then you agree. If not, you can make your argument. But I think it's best to go for a general setup. You know, for me, I have flat cooldown reduction blues, because I don't know a single champion in the game, maybe some of the ninjas, but besides that, I don't really know a single champion in the game that doesn't want to be able to cast their abilities more frequently.
Yeah.
So, I mean, whereas blues with, you know, if you are maining Tryndamere, maybe you'll go critical strike, which is fine for Tryndamere, but every other, or critical damage, whatever extra critical damage, but like, whereas if you're going another champ, it's going to be completely useless, and you're going to basically be stuck with critical strike runes on Rise. Whereas you would have cooldown reduction on everyone, which is more beneficial. And same thing with my Quints. I have, you know, flat health, which everyone has, because every champion can use more health. I don't know a champion that doesn't want to have more health. And same thing with move speed. But I also want to talk about something after we go over this. I want to talk about something that I read. But things like that, like for my red, I have magic penetration, which is actually pretty good on almost every champion, even AD champions, because most of them have a skill or two that deals magic damage. But anyway, my stance is that I think when you're building runes, you should build a set of general runes early that's going to go better on most champs, but not perfect. What do you guys think? Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I definitely agree. That is how I did it as well. I think it must have been about level 5. I just realised, like, as soon as I hit 10, I'd have to replace them. So it was like, I know this is actually not what you were on about, but I just want to add this as well, that, like, the early levels, it's, again, a choice. Do you save up your IP, just get the tier 3s, which are going to last you forever as soon as you hit 20? Because, like, I think the Fortitudes are, like, 2,000 IP each, and there's, like, 3 of them. That's, like, 6k IP you need just to fill those slots, which is what I did. I thought it was just much more beneficial. But, again, my beginner set were cooldown per levels. As you said, there's not many champions but wouldn't want that. Mana regen yellows, again, I think, just very, very versatile. Yep. And I got both sets of red, the armor pen and the magic pen, but I think... well, I may disagree, but I think everyone pretty much goes those sort of builds. And then I also like there's like specific ones such as dodge. They're great on every champion, no matter who you are, even though they're expensive. They definitely can like pay dividends if you get lucky in a game.
There's actually, I want to talk specifically about those, but I'll let Al talk. But I use dodge for my yellows too because unlike mono regens, which got debuffed, I used mono regens until they got debuffed and lowered or nerfed, however you want to say it. They got nerfed by 7 mana at the max level or something. So I stopped using those and switched to dodge for a reason which I will discuss in just a minute. But you can continue, Jay, if you have anything else. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh no, it's fine. It's good to hear your opinion of it. Yeah, I just can see as well now. By the way, for people listening, you know what you're going to see in games? Crit rise. They're going to be appearing everywhere.
Oh God.
Infinity Edge, Phantom Dancer, Prison.
They have to stand still for your auto attacks at least.
That's true. So Al, you got anything to add about runes?
I'll say that I didn't even consider runes until I was around level 22. I just bought champions every time I got the IP for it.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing, definitely, I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone on the planet that plays League of Legends and knows anything about it agrees that you should not buy tier 2 runes because that's just a complete molesting.
Oh yeah.
But I think buying tier 1 runes does have, is somewhat viable because they're so fucking cheap. They're like 35 IP for a rune.
Yeah, my concern with tier 1 runes is that you simply don't have very much space in your rune book to stack them because you unlock more slots as you level. They do definitely give you the advantage early on, especially if you get like that odd HP quint that's tier 1 and those few armor pin runes or magic pin runes. Those definitely help your damage output and your sustainability. But yeah, tier 2 are pretty much useless.
Yeah.
My personal runes were the first ones I got myself were HP quints and magic regain. I still run my magic regains runes every game that I'm a caster, unless I'm like Mord or Rumble.
Do you run yellow and blues or just yellow? I
run yellow and blues. Again, I'm a very passive player. I can wait on my cooldowns, even if it would be nice to have them up sooner. I focus more on the odd harass and just regain and stay in lane as long as possible.
If you're playing passive, though, do you really need that much mana regen?
The mana regen lets you spam your abilities a bit more in lane, and it helps you get last hits if you're getting zoned, and it lets you counter harass or get away if their jungler comes at you.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's pretty fair. Okay.
I mean, I enjoy having a steady mana pool the entire time I'm in lane. That's why I use both.
I agree. I hate running out of mana. It's so annoying. But you guys got anything else general to say about runes before I go into my specific rant?
Oh, go on now.
I personally find health runes pretty useless. I'm just not a fan of them. But you should optimize your runes for whoever you enjoy playing. Like, again, I'm not a fan of health runes, but I'll put them on a Shin if I'm playing him, because that bonus health helps with his passive. Optimize your runes for your playstyle and your character.
Yeah, I agree. Same thing with masteries.
Then again, you can also use your runes to synergize with items. For example, if you know you have like HP per level yellows, for example, and you get Atmas, you're going to be doing that extra damage that you wouldn't be doing if you didn't have those yellow HP runes, and also you're going to have the survivability, so you can tweak your item build in game to like synergize with your runes.
Yeah, that's very true. That's a good point. Speaking of which, that's part of the thing I wanted to talk about with runes. Certain runes are mathematically better than other runes. Like, that doesn't mean that the other runes don't have viability, but let's compare something that I've seen a lot of people compare, like the yellows. Okay, yellow is in general like a defensive rune. So for the defensive runes on yellow, you have flat armor, which gives, I believe, 13 armor for 9 or 15.
Yeah, if you have 9, it gives you 16 armor.
Okay, so 16 armor flat.
Wait.
I think it's 13. I'm
It's
not sure.
No, it's
13.
13. I'm sorry. I looked at my tank page and I have some armor reds. Yeah, it's exactly 13.
Okay, so 13 armor, or you get 6.8 dodge percent, or you get like 180 life at level 18 or something like that. It's about 10 life per level. So if you look at that, they all seem, about equal. 180 health compared to 6.8% dodge compared to a little bit of armor. But the thing that I read in an article somewhere that I had been actually doing, I just didn't know about it, is that if you think about it, like late game, 13 armor is 13 armor, no matter what. It's only gonna, it's gonna prevent, like, early on in the game it'll prevent like 10% damage, but the more armor you get, it's gonna start preventing less, like, I don't know if you guys know how, I'm sure you two do because you're high level players, but the way armor scales, like, the first 100 armor matters a lot more than the second 100 armor.
Yeah, because 100 armor gives you exactly 50% reduction.
Yeah, and afterwards you get another 100 and it's like 65 or something like that. I don't know the exact points, but compare that to health. Let's scale this all the way to level 18. So at level 18 you have 180 health, which is one attack at best. Or you have 13 armor, which is going to prevent 5% damage like every attack. Or you have dodge, like 6.8% dodge, which is going to prevent one attack every 20 or so.
I do just want to add, the dodge does only work for auto attacks, which can, sort of sway it either way. That's one great thing about health per level.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree. But the thing about health per level is that it doesn't scale. Dodge runes scale. When they build more auto attack damage, your dodge means more.
Yeah, true.
Every time they add a point to their attack damage, your dodge is scaling with their attack damage.
Hit or miss. You rely on generate God. While they can.
Are you, Jay? Is he breaking up for you?
Yeah, he is.
They can also do nothing.
Yeah,
that's why I just prefer general mitigation over a hit or miss. That's just my opinion.
Well, that's fair. For dodge, I'll give you that. But another reason I also get dodge is because that it's a stat that you can't get really anywhere else. There's only
Phantom Dancer.
That's it. Phantom Dancer doesn't give it anymore.
Yeah, Phantom Dancer.
Yeah. It doesn't, does it? No.
So it's just Ninja Tabby, I think. So that's another reason.
And Jax is E.
Well, Jax, yeah, and you can get dodge in Quince too, but dodge is a very limited stat. Like, you can always buy another ruby crystal that will make up for all 9 of your runes. You can't buy any single item in the game that's going to make up for the 9 dodge runes. So that, I mean, it's just kind of something that, like, it scales with your level. Same thing with cooldown. Your cooldown runes scale with your AP. Every time you buy an AP item, your cooldown runes add more damage. Like, 6% cooldown is going to add more damage than 18 AP later in the game because you're going to be adding so much AP.
Very true, but another concern I have with dodge runes is that they don't help against physical casters like Lee Sin or Pantheon, who are reliant on spells that do physical damage.
Yeah, you're definitely right. Dodge runes are, kind of
situational.
Yeah, in that sense, but like, I just use them to make the point that they scale. Like, I think in general the runes that scale into late game are going to be better than runes that don't scale. Like, anything that says a percentage is generally better, in my opinion. I don't know, it's hard to explain. I think I made my point with dodge runes.
Yeah, I'm going to say you have. Yeah, you've definitely made your point, I think. Well, I got it. I'm not sure about, like, the listeners.
Oh.
But the only problem is again, it's just the skill sort of thing. Even though dodge is going to be helpful, it's probably going to be dodge is going to be more helpful in a solo queue than in a like a party of 5. In a party of 5, you're probably going to be against.
I think we lost someone.
Yeah, we did. We lost Al. If you want to get him back.
Are you still here?
No, Al's dropped completely. If you want to re-add him, but I'll finish what I was saying. In solo queue, dodge is more viable because you've really no idea who you're going to be up against, unless it's ranked and you can see the team pick. But if you're against like 5 AP guys, sort of thing, dodge is going to only thing it's really going to help against is the
Hold on a
minions.
second.
Right, and yeah, back after a slight problem. But yeah, dodge runes, they're very situational, depending on what sort of game you're playing. Especially solo, I'd say they have the most use. Whereas like in a range team, usually they're going to have a very specific setup, and you may be only against sort of one AD guy, perhaps two at most. In which case you've got 3 champions where your yellows aren't really doing anything. Whereas in like solo, where you could be up against 5 AD carries, yeah, dodge runes are going to be invaluable then. So I do think it's very situational based on the game sort of you're playing.
I mean, I agree that, like you said, if they, say for example, they only have 2 AD carries, and the only other viable option that would actually make some sort of effect would be the health. If you went armor, it'd still be just as useless. And I think even late game, the health that it provides, 180 health, even casters have like 90 damage auto attack at level 18. So even, like 2 dodges on those is going to be equal to or greater than the 180 health if you last in battle that long.
Yeah, that is true.
But, Al, you got anything to add?
I don't think I have anything else I can add on that situation.
I'm just trying to...
Okay, fair.
I'm just trying to roughly calculate it. Well, it's like 7%, but I'm just going to... Well, yeah, I'll assume it's 10 just to give it a little boost. So say it's a 10% dodge chance. You would have to have that particular caster you were describing in the example sort of thing hit you possibly 20 times before you would get the 2 dodges off. And that's with a generous boost to the dodge.
Yeah, you're definitely right. In terms of casters, like, if you're going to be facing 5 AP, obviously health is the clear winner. But even with, I think, 2 AD champions in there, like, dodging one of Ryze's 90 damage auto attacks and one of Ashe's 450 damage crits is going to be, like, invaluable compared to the extra 180 health, which is going to be gone in less than half of an auto attack late game.
Especially since dodge negates on-hit effects like Ashe's Frost Shot or Red Buff.
Yep. So
I mean, that one dodge could save your life and let you get away from that Ashe that's chasing you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously in counterpoint, 180 health could, leave you with 1 health too, but I mean, I made my argument, and I think dodge runes are pretty valuable, but I agree with Jay. In some certain circumstances, they are completely useless.
Well, I don't think anybody here actually thinks they're bad.
No, definitely
it's
not.
Just different. It's different points.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I don't think that he thinks they're bad. I think that he made a good argument as to why they aren't as effective as other runes in certain circumstances.
I'm gonna say they've definitely got the use, and like in terms of a long game, unless you're jungling, you don't really want armor. Maybe if you're Malphite, you might want armor, but then you don't even really want that much damage. You should be just soaking up the damage. So even like dodge could be viable on Malphite. But yeah, so I would definitely say in terms of the overall game, not just early game, like mid and late game, that dodge runes are much more beneficial than armor. I can definitely agree on that, but I do think health is situational. Sometimes dodge is better, sometimes health is better.
Yeah. And then, I mean, one of my main points for arguing for dodge is that it's an unattainable stat otherwise. Like, you can buy more armor, you can buy more health, but you can't really buy more dodge.
Of course, you also have to be careful who you have that dodge on. Like, if you're playing Galio or Rammus, that dodge can actually hurt you more than help.
Yep, that's definitely true. Definitely a good point to make. Like, certain champions, want to be taking that damage so they can, for Rammus, return it to you, or Galio, return it to you, or...
Galio for his ultimate, increased damage for every hit.
Yep, and same thing with, like, what's his name, Maokai. He doesn't want to dodge attacks either.
No, it stops him.
With his ult on. Anyway, so that's about it for runes. I was just talking about, that was my rant about scaling runes. Now let's go into summoner skills, another thing that you have to select before you, well, not before you start the game, but, in the selection screen, you pick your summoner skills. So, the 2 things that I'm just going to go over kind of simultaneously are purposes and team needs. Purposes obviously is, what are the purposes of the skills? Ghost and Flash are used to escape. Exhaust is used to escape or to chase. Ignite is used to get a kill.
Or shut down Mundo.
Yeah, that too. Or shut down, champions with crazy healing abilities like Swain, or, whoever's using a shit ton of spell vamp like a Katarina with her ult or something stupid like that. And purposes not purposes, but team needs. Like, in my opinion, if you're going to be playing 5v5 ranked or any sort of organized team, you need at least one person with a clairvoyance.
Correct.
You need generally it's, I think, kind of nice to have one with a Fortify, but I don't see it much in the super high elo games, but I think Fortify is a pretty decent skill that can be pretty useful. But clairvoyance is number one, I think. I think every team can use and should have a clairvoyance. But
I think it's situational on what your ELO is for clairvoyance.
You think so? I think
it's definitely helpful and it's good at any ELO. But I mean, if you're in like the sub 1000 where there's not going to be a jungler or there's not going to be a good jungler, and there's not going to be too much roaming or ganking, it's.
I do agree with that. Like, I've gotten clairvoyance in a game where it was a 5v5 and neither team had a jungler. So for the first 15 minutes, I didn't even use clairvoyance like more than twice.
Definitely late game though, it comes into use face checking bushes.
Exactly. Like late game when, especially now, like you just said, in low elo it's not good, which I agree, especially early. But
it's
late
not
game
necessarily
low elo,
not good.
Late game low elo, it's amazing because in low elo people never buy wards, so you have 1/4 of the time a ward wherever you want it. Because if you spec clairvoyance, it's got like a 40-second cooldown and it lasts for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So 1/4 of the time you can see anywhere you want, besides invisible champs. So I think that in low elo you can be like the savior, clairvoyance Baron, because no one's gonna fucking ward it.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So, I'll pass it off to Jay and see what he's got to say about summoner skills and stuff.
Right, well, I'll just talk. We might as well talk about clairvoyance, seeing as we're on it. One good thing, not only is it a defensive spell, for example, if, like, for a Mumu, he's a great example of a jungler who jungles when he's on very low health. If you track his jungle movement and just wait till he kills red, then go pick him off, you have screwed him up so much in that game because he's not going to be able to gank properly. He's not going to be able to jungle as efficiently as hopefully your jungler can, or even if you haven't got a jungler, it's just going to mean you're not getting ganked, you're not worrying.
Yeah.
So, like, not only is said as it got its uses defensively, it's also got, like, offensive purposes. And especially, like, if someone recalls in a brush, you're thinking of going for a gank,
Yep.
you could just CV to see if it's, if it's viable to gank.
Yeah, I thoroughly agree. One quick point before I let Al talk about aggressive clairvoyance is, like you said, number one is in higher elos it's even more valuable because you can disrupt their jungler. And if you've played enough games, like, I don't even play junglers ever, but I've played enough games with junglers in them that I know when and where to clairvoyance to spot them. So if you do that, you can get one of your teammates or your jungler if you have one, or your roamer, to go gank them. But one champion in specific that I like clairvoyance on, that I saw a guide on, is Poppy. If you clairvoyance a brush, every single brush in the game is next to a wall.
Yeah.
So it's like if they're trying to escape you as Poppy, you can, clairvoyance and then smash them right into the wall. So, that's just one specific champion, but almost every champion can benefit from being into the bushes.
Oh yeah, it's a very useful spell. It's also very situational.
Another use with that, what I do is with Ashe, if you're chasing someone, they run into brush, that's a time you can't hit them with Frost Shot. You clairvoyance, you've got full vision of them, you can keep them slowed through the brush, and it can easily get you a kill when they would have normally gotten away.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I thoroughly support clairvoyance. Like, I've been running it on a lot of champions, like even Jarvan. I ran it on, and I've run it on Maokai, and it's so good. Like, I could go over a whole video on the uses of clairvoyance, so I don't really want to get into all the specifics, because I agree with Al, in some situations it is situational, but in general, I find it to be by far the most useful and versatile of the summoner skills in what it can do. Like, generally I'll run Ghost Flash. Recently I've been replacing Ghost with Clairvoyance because you don't need a Ghost to run away if you Clairvoyance the brush that they're going to try to gank you from, like, while they're getting there.
The thing is, like
So,
you
I mean-
earlier said, though, there was a gate. Well, I suppose you would know if misses were called, but you wouldn't always be checking the brush on when they were coming down. And if the enemy team's smart as well, they will like tell their jungler when you've used clairvoyance. So if it's on cooldown, you have nothing, and that can lead definitely to like a lack of your guard sort of thing.
Yeah,
Mia? Who calls Mia?
seriously. So overplayed. Just use your mini-map, people. That's what it's there
Scrubs.
for. So, yeah, that's for, you guys got any, that's about it for summoner skills. That basically you should, I mean, we didn't really go over anything, so I mean, like,
Everything has
You wanna-
its use.
yeah, well, almost everything. Some of the summoner spells don't really have a use right now. I mean, Al was trying to
Rally.
talk earlier about
Hey,
Rally.
Hey, Rally is a really good spell for Kale. It does wonders on Kale.
With revive.
Uh-huh. So, uh-huh. But
I
I
don't
mean-
know. I lost to a team that had 3 revives once on 3v3. They'd get into a team fight, they'd lose, and then they'd revive automatically while we're low HP.
Yeah, that's
Bum
still
rush.
seems... Run Flash and don't die
Yeah.
instead. Instead of running fucking revive and then just reviving after you die, just flash over the wall and not die.
I remember a few weeks ago I saw on Elements' tier list that he mentioned revive teleport Karthus, and he had that pretty high up.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of revives in like the EU server, and they're doing the EU server as a whole. We could do another fucking 10 videos on that, the way they run so differently. But yeah, I mean, for summoner skills, basically it depends on the champ. If you're running a champ that has no escapes, you want to run Ghost and Flash. If you're trying to get really aggressive, you want to run, maybe Flash and Ignite or Flash and Exhaust. And for the most part, you always want to spec points into your summoner skills. For the most part. Like, Ignite doesn't really need a spec for most champs, but Exhaust does. Ghost does. Flash should. Clairvoyance definitely needs it.
Oh my god, Clairvoyance's mastery is probably the single best mastery in the game, in my opinion. It's just
Yeah,
so
it's-
powerful for the spell itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. It really makes it a spell. Like, without the mastery on Clairvoyance, I find Clairvoyance subpar. But with the mastery, I find it amazing.
Its range just becomes so much bigger, and it lasts for so long that it can cover a whole area for a pretty significant amount of time while you're pushing.
Yep. And it's amazing for late game team fights, finding out where your opponent is, checking brushes, checking buffs, and it's just completely so useful. Anything else to add for summoner skills, guys?
Flash is better than Ghost. What do you guys think about that?
I'm iffy on that because sometimes Flash doesn't get you over the wall and it bugs out, and then it's a wasted spell, whereas Ghost is a continuous increase in move speed, plus you can run through minion waves which your opponent can't.
I
But
agree.
Generally, it is better simply because you can get over that wall most of the time.
I think it's champion specific in certain circumstances, but in general, I think Flash is better because it's an instant gap closer. Like, when you're coming out of the, say you're on the bottom lane, you're trying to kill them close to their tower. If you have a stun, with Scion, you can flash out there and stun them instantly, and they have no chance to respond unless they're so fast that they flashed away when you flashed out, or you can try to ghost at them like a thorough, really long 1 full second to respond, whereas Flash, but Ghost is also will allow you to escape from a lot of things that Flash won't. Like, if certain champs are just fast as fuck, and you're not going to escape them without Ghost. Even if you flash over the wall, they'll just run around it and then still be faster than you.
I mean, I know for a fact Ghost has saved my life numerous times when I've been solo pushing a lane because our team is pushing mid or something, and their team tries to get me, and that flash isn't going to help you get away. Whereas if you Ghost and you run all the way down the lane while they're coming from the side, you'll get a lot further than a flash would help.
I'm going to have to concede that. Over a long distance, Ghost is better than Flash, but I'm still going to have to argue that Flash, like, even if you flash over and you know they're going to run round, you can usually tell based on where they are. They're always going to take the shortest distance.
Oh yeah.
So like a lot of the times, just simply running, for example, say if you're like in the middle of the map, say if you flash somewhere and then run into their jungle instead of your own, where they expect you to run, you can easily escape a lot of things. It's just really, really quick decision making you've got to do.
Yeah, I see it as Flash is better when you're taken by surprise, and Ghost is better when you know they're coming.
Yeah, that seems pretty fair. I like Al said or Jay said, I don't remember who it was. I think it was Jay. Like basically, Ghost is better for long distances. Flash is better for like an instant escape. And most of the time, when people want a summoner skill, it's because they fucked up.
Oh yeah.
Is like, oh fuck, I need a flash because I'm way too overextended, and it's like that's when Flash is good because they'll be able to flash over the wall and run away and be like woo. Whereas Ghost, if you see the one champion running at you and you know that there's more in the brush, it's like if you get stunned by that first champ, you're still fucked.
Oh yeah.
So I don't. It's really overall, I'd say Flash is definitely better, but Ghost has its uses, and on certain champs, it's a lot better.
Especially since they removed the poppin' projectiles on Flash.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Like for Garen, because he has the Q, which increases his move speed even more. I generally run Ghost, even though it seems like counterproductive. He has like a mini Ghost in his Q, but between Ghost and his Q, you can usually escape from almost anything.
Yeah. It's a lot like Galio or Alistair. Most players that play them, you take Flash simply because you can flash into the middle of their team and disrupt them.
Yep. Whereas Ghost, they can all run. I mean, you'll still catch a few, but
they can run away.
Time. Yep, they have time to respond.
Whereas say they're doing Dragon or Baron and you flash over the wall and ultimate as Galio, they're not going to see what came.
Nope. So I think that's about it. Anything else to add, either of you? That was a good discussion there, Jay.
By myself, that's pretty much it. Oh wait, Revive.
Oh.
I don't think it has uses ever. I can't ever see a situation where that would be useful. I know we were sort of talking like off microphone, I guess, with the word, about I was in a game on a 3v3 map where the enemy team had 3 revives, and as soon as they lost a team fight, they'd revive back with full health to like come fight some low guys. In which case you get 3 kills up. Worst case scenario, you'll lose 3 kills and you're still in the exact same situation where you are, apart from you've had time to go back and buy because you haven't revived instantly and had to run straight out to try and catch the enemy team. Where a lot of the time as well, if you win a team fight, you know you're low, you're just gonna go recall regardless, especially if you see they've got revive. You just change your gameplay around it.
Yeah, I mean, that was mostly my team doing bad that fight. But the thing was, because how small 3v3 is, the movement speed bonus on revive let them get back to our turrets very quickly, and they just pushed a tower after they died and we were low. I mean, it was bad play on our part. We could have played a lot more defensively and won it, but this was when I was like level 17 or so.
Yeah, I mean, I think Revive is a very specific spell. Like, I mean, I've heard of EU Eves going Revive Smite or some shit like that.
That was Jungle Eve.
Did you guys never get that in the US?
Yes,
no.
We did.
Not much. I didn't get.
Wow,
I didn't
every
see
game.
I saw her like every game when it was popular.
Yeah. All right.
Freaking Soraka bot.
No, I didn't see barely any of those. I've heard of them, but I haven't seen many.
Revive could be viable if the cooldown was lowered. 9 minutes without anything in it is just ridiculous.
And like
then
2 years ago or something, they thought about remaking it to where if you activated it, you could activate it while you were alive or dead, and if you activated it while you were alive for like 3 seconds, it activated it worked like a chrono shift, but they never implemented it.
And the thing is, the
That
one point
could be useful.
The one point as well, you
Go
put in
ahead.
the mastery for improved revive only takes 20 seconds off. In terms of a percentage, it's like one of the lowest cooldown buffs on a summoner spell you can get.
Yeah, it's a 9-minute cooldown, so 20 seconds isn't going to really mean much.
Yeah, I agree. So overall, I don't think Revive is great, at least until it gets, or if it ever gets reworked. I think Rally needs a rework too. I think they should remake all the summoners, not all of them, but
The
all
ones that
but
aren't
not
used.
Yeah, seriously, like, it's always Ghost, Flash, Exhaust, Ignite. That's pretty much it. Sometimes you
Yeah.
get Clairvoyance.
I see heal on people playing support on occasion.
Again, I don't even think you should have that.
Yeah.
There's
I don't-
exhaust would work far better. Maybe, yeah, you're not going to save. Well, yeah, most like supports have some form of CC. You just exhaust one guy and like
And there goes
CC
their
the
damage.
other. Yeah, and then you can also use exhaust for like chasing to help get whoever you're supporting kills and stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think heal is where it needs to be right now. Heal and Clarity are both like ARAM only spells for the most part. Clarity can be used.
I think Clarity's a little character situational. Like, whenever I play Janet, I almost always carry Clarity, because say we're pushing a lane, I pop my ultimate, I pop Clarity, my entire team's at full again.
Yeah, I can see that, but for me, like, I just feel like Clarity is a tool for people who don't know how to use their mana correctly.
Yeah, that's what I think as well on Clarity.
It's like just learn to use your spells more correctly. Not correctly, but like don't spam so much for so little effect. Like I see a lot of people using their spells for like, you know, I can't think of a really good example. Like Jarvan's Q, they'll use it for
Farming.
like one minion. Or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like you can't just spam your spells like that and rely on clarity. It just seems to me like that's like a clear sign of a not great player if they're using it like that.
Like, guys,
like
if
you
you
said-
build a Chalice,
Ugh.
I don't think
I
Chalice
never-
gives that much regen, to be honest.
No.
you have to build a regen for it to be useful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. I'd just much rather either get a mana mute or actually no, probably a Rod of Ages right now in the current like state of the game. That item is
For me,
so
I
sweet.
always just get. I agree, Rod of Ages is nuts, but I always just get Philosopher's Stone. I mean, it provides, in general, more mana regen, and it gives you a shit ton of health regen and gold.
I'm actually not
And
a
if
fan
you're-
of it.
I love Philosopher's
Yeah.
Stone. I go it on.
I understand
Every-
why people buy it. It's just I'm not a fan of it because I prefer getting the items that give me a more direct impact in team fights early on.
Well, as support,
But see, there's no team fights early on. I
you
get my
can.
Philosopher's Stone at like. I mean, usually I get my Philosopher's Stone at like 4 minutes into the game.
yeah,
No
well,
one else
you,
has any.
you have to
even
get it
close
then,
to that. Yeah.
just so it like repays for itself and then gives you additional gold on top of it. I couldn't ever really say it's a bad idea to get a Philosopher's Stone early because unless
Oh, yeah.
you sell it for some stupid reason, like after a minute or something, and lose gold on it, you don't lose anything.
If you upgrade it to LCS Miracle and then sell it, you actually save 40 gold off of it if you just sold it as a Philosopher's Stone, right?
Oh wow, I didn't
No,
know
I
that.
haven't. I haven't sold that. No.
Yeah, if
But
you upgrade it to LCS Miracle first, you'll get 40 gold. You'll get 40 more gold on the sell back than if you just sold it as a Philosopher's Stone.
That seems interesting.
It's just a little bonus gold for an extra potion or reward.
Yeah, no, I mean, it seems good.
And
No
now, if
reason not
Riot
to.
are listening, they're going to change that.
I saw it on the forums the other day, and I didn't see any red post about it. So
They've probably just made a
Okay.
casual note of it.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I really like Philosopher's Stone. How the hell did we even get on Philosopher's Stone?
I don't know.
Because we were on Summoner Skills, and now we're on Philosopher's Stone.
I think it went from clarity to regen and not being able to manage
Oh,
it in
okay.
lane.
Yeah,
oh yeah, okay.
with
that
clarity.
makes sense. Chalice. Okay. Well, anyway, we got to move on now.
Yeah.
This is already going to be really long. Okay, so we're done with Summoner Skills. No more input from you two. Moving on. Selecting your champ. So this is basically, all the pregame stuff is done. You set up. I mean, you kind of need to know who your champ is, but let's say, whatever. Okay, you set up your masteries. You got your rune page set up. You know what summoner skills you need, and then you go into the champ selection. So
Well, I think generally it's sort of
It's kind of back-
reversed. It's like usually you
Yeah.
select the champion in your mind, or at least the champion role, and then you build your
Yeah.
masteries and runes usually around it. But yeah, I get what you're meaning.
I know what you're saying too, and that's generally how it goes. But it's easier to break it down this
Yeah,
way than
yeah.
to go. It's kind of like ass backwards. but it's ass backwards either way. Anyway, but it's also bad if you select your. That's kind of why I wanted to do it this way, is because if you select your champ before the game, you're gonna be that fucking asshole who picks Tryndamere and locks in and then says we need a tank.
But guys, I need to carry.
It's like, oh guys, no one's tanking? What the fuck? It's like, yeah, well, you insta-lock Tryndamere and everyone else insta-lock the fucking AD champ, so that's kind of why I did it this way. Anyway, selecting your champ, so there's a few factors involved in selecting your champ. I think the number one factor that should be involved is what's fun for you.
Correct.
You don't. I mean, it doesn't matter what your team needs. I mean, it does, but this is. I mean, we're in general. I think we're talking about like solo queue and casual games, not like crazy 5v5 ranked games. This is a tutorial podcast or audio or whatever, so it's not going to be like for 5v5 ranked. So number one thing should be a champ that's fun for you to play, because I know we've all been there where we selected a champ and played them for like 3 minutes and we got killed because we didn't know how they worked, and then you're like, I fucking hate this champion.
Yep.
And then you sit there for the next 17 minutes or 35 minutes if your team doesn't want to surrender, grinding out this fucking annoying game, and you're like, I hate this fucking game. So you really just want to pick a champion that's fun for you to play. Like, obviously if you've never played the game before, you'll never know, but everyone has an idea of what they like to play, how they like to play. You know, Al said he likes to play defensive kind of and a little more passive.
I play tanks a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So he's not going to select a champ like, he would select Ashe, but like Vayne, for example, is, you know, seems like it's totally against his style because she needs to be really aggressive. And same thing with like Eve or Twitch.
Actually, I used to main Eve for a while.
Okay, well, I mean, obviously,
I do build her tanky, and I focus mainly on ganking.
So yeah, I mean, exactly. Like, he, you know, has fun tanking, and he has fun playing Eve ganking. So that's what he did. So I just think that's the number one factor. I mean, you guys can see the other options. I mean, do you think anything else is more important for normal games than what's more fun?
No.
You're definitely right about play what's fun, because you're going to be more useful to your team playing a champion that you know than playing a champion that you don't know but your team needs.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have some general knowledge, though, and your team doesn't have a tank, you should probably play the tank, even if you don't necessarily like it, as long as you know how to do it properly and you actually want to like do the most you can to help your team win. I say just go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but go ahead, Jay.
Well, I was just going to quickly mention that about like playing champs, who you find fun, who you know you're good with, sort of thing. There's also the thing where if you like just understand the basics of the game, such as last hitting and map awareness and stuff. Like, for example, my first game
ever. We're going to be going over all that stuff later, too, guys, viewers.
Yes, don't
last
worry.
hitting, map awareness, that's all going to be in a future tutorial. We're going to talk about that stuff. I just wanted to mention that. But continue it, Jay.
Alright. So, like, my first game ever as Jax, I'd not read any guides or anything. Like, within the first, I think it was 10 minutes, I was 4-0-0. It's just like, if you sort of know the game and know what you're doing, you can try new champions. You don't have to sort of just play the guys you know are fun. And especially like with a free champion rotation, it's a great time to try new champions, because even though you might love Ashe and think, oh yeah, there's no one better than her, you could try somebody like an AP caster and think, oh wow. So I definitely do think you do need to try champions out, and also when you're trying somebody, you know what they're capable of. You know their spells, you know their passives, so when you're laning against them, or if they're in a team fight on the enemy team, you know what to expect.
Yeah, it's a really good point that you made. I agree. Like, it basically, you know, I've played against Jax. You know, I know I've played like now probably more than 1,000 games. So I've played against Jax probably at least 200 times. You know, maybe a little bit less, but I've only played as him like once. So I still am kind of somewhat unfamiliar with exactly how much damage he can put out and exactly what he can do like every second of the game, like his cooldowns and stuff like that. So that's definitely a good reason to play more champions. But I wanted to respond to what Al said earlier, whereas like if your team, you know, say your team has, let's just use a extremely drastic example to point something out. Like, let's say your team already has 4 AD carries, and you were planning on playing Ashe. And like, if you set up your masteries, you set up your runes, you got it in your head, you're like, I'm playing Ashe. No one else is going to be fun right now. You're just in one of those ruts where not any other champion is going to be satisfying to you, and I'm sure we've all been there before. If your team needs a tank, I don't think that, especially in like a normal game, obviously it's more beneficial for your team to have a tank. If you're not going to have any fun playing that tank and you're just going to be like, whatever, who cares? Your team is going to benefit more from a 5th AD.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. Call drop?
No?
No, he dropped.
Oh, yeah. Right, I'll just pause. Right, so if you could just repeat that, because I'm not sure when that cut off. But right, go on. What were you saying about the AD guys, WatchMeSC?
Okay, sorry about that. I'm having technical difficulties. My internet is crapping out. Anyway, basically I was just saying, like, if your team has 4 AD carries and you're the 5th and you had already planned on playing Ashe and you have it in your heart that you want to play Ashe and they need a tank, I think if you're going to play the tank really poorly because you have it in your head set that you want to play Ashe, you should just play Ashe. Because you're not going to benefit your team at all playing a tank that doesn't care about team fights and a tank that wants to get the kills because a tank, like, you wanted to play Ashe, not Malphite.
I have no objections with that.
No, I just want to add as well, like you said, it's not just about the mindset as well. If you're not very good with tanks, you give away first blood or you give away a few kills, you're not going to be able to soak up the damage you need to as a tank. You're going to do no damage, so you are just going to be basically free gold to the enemy team.
Yep. So, that was the first one. The number one reason to pick a champion, I think, for solo queue or fun games is what's fun for you. Number two and 3, I think, are pretty interchangeable, and it's like 3 things basically: the metagame and who's free at the time, which contributes to the metagame. I'll explain what metagame is for those of you who don't know in a second, and what your team needs, which we've already discussed relatively in depth, but we'll go over it again a little bit. The metagame basically means the current state of the game. Right now, like in the past, they're nerfing it now, but in the past few months, it's been a tanky DPS metagame, which means, you know, you're really tanky champions who deal still a fair amount of damage. Like a lot of melee champions like Jarvan and Garen and
Renekton comes to mind.
Mordekaiser, Gragas.
Yep. Anyone who still deals you what seems like way too much damage for how much damage that they're taking. Like, they're not taking any damage, but they're dealing you a shit ton of damage. That was the current metagame. So you kind of want to keep that in mind when you're selecting your champion. And also who's free. You know, certain champions are just really bad against other champions. I can't think of one like right instantly. Do you guys have like an example?
I know any stealth champions.
Caitlyn versus Heimer. I just thought of that one. That's pretty bad for Heimer.
Yes. I know any stealth champion used to be terrible against Corki when his phosphorus bomb revealed stealth.
I was going to say that too, but then I remembered his phosphorus bomb is stupid now.
I mean, yeah, I still use it for harass, but they should have just gotten rid of the part where it reveals wards, in my opinion. I mean, that's why they nerfed it, because you just drop it on Baron or Dragon and you'd kill their wards there.
Yeah, I think they should just remove the stupid percentage to blind chance. Did they do that or not? I don't think they did.
No, it's still there.
Yeah, that's stupid. It's not even visible anywhere. It's like a completely...
I don't even
Everything
think
else
the game doesn't read it as blind. The game reads it as mischance, which isn't affected by anything.
But it's just like so annoying that it's like that's like one of the only random factors in League of Legends. Everything else is static. You know, your ability deals this much damage plus this much per AP. You know, it's like there's no other really abilities that 50% of the time you hit them and 50% you miss. It just seems really out of place.
Shaco's Two-Shiv Poison used to have that, but they got rid of that. It used to apply mischance on attack. Now it only does that to minions.
But anyway, so like who's free really matters. Like if there's Heimer free this week, Caitlyn might be a good counter pick because Heimers sometimes tend to go middle. And if you go middle versus a Heimer and you're a good Caitlyn, you shouldn't have very much trouble because you outrange his turrets starting at level 1 all the way through level 18. And go ahead.
If I see a Heimer on the enemy team beforehand, I generally will just take Smite just to screw with them.
That too.
I like
That's evil.
Smite. It's a mean thing, but
You're
if you
sick.
if you know there's going to be a Heimer or Ashe or somebody that uses pets on the other team, Smite's a great ability to take with you
Or Ashe?
pets.
Yeah,
Smite,
Ashe?
I think you meant Mordekaiser.
Did I say that?
You said Ashe.
Heimer or Ashe?
I'm sorry. I meant to say Annie. Did I say
Ah,
Ashe?
Okay. You said Ashe, definitely.
Yeah,
but
you did say
Annie,
Ashe.
okay.
But
Annie makes a little more sense. I was like, you're just gonna smite Ashe right in their fucking head.
I don't know. When I was
Smite
level
arrow.
1, I took Smite all the time because I thought I could use it on champions when I was level 1.
Oh, that would be ridiculous. And just walk up to someone and smite them level 1 and then auto tag them, they're dead.
I miss using
Oh my
I miss using Raise Morale on the Tibbers.
Oh man, were you guys around for the promote skill?
No,
No.
sadly.
Me neither.
I would, but I weren't high enough level to use it.
Oh, okay.
But I did see the damage it could do.
So anyway, and then what your team needs is, obviously we already talked about that. If you have 4 carries on your team needs a tank. If you have 2 tanks, an AD, and an AP carry, your team needs a support. So, I think number 1, you should consider what's fun for you. And then after that, consider, the metagame, who's free, and what your team needs, kind of all bunched into one. And that's about all I have to say about that. What do you guys think?
I know I pick my champions based off of who elements has tier 1. I'm kidding, of course, but his list is a good guide, I think, for what's strong right now.
Yeah, I try to stay away from the list because I think unless you're at his tier, it's not going to matter. Like,
Very true.
if you're in the 1300 elos, you can be pro with any champion you set your mind to.
Very, very true. I know. The other week I got stomped by an Asus, and he's generally not considered strong at high ELO, but I got stomped by him because the person that was in lane couldn't CC him enough to keep him from his farm.
Yeah. So, Jay, you got anything?
The only thing really I want to point out is for like anyone who's new to League of Legends, just basically sort of the roles, or I'm going to cover that in more detail later. Because, like, for example, a tank, basically, obviously, a tank is self-explanatory, really. You're there mainly to soak up the damage and to initiate the team fights. But we were talking a bit before this call, sort of thing, and we were, like, saying how if your team's struggling or something, you don't want your tank, and if you're playing the tank, you don't want to be initiating in the middle of jungle or really at Dragon unless the enemy team is going to be low. If the enemy team is going to be full health on Dragon and you just like dive in there and try and initiate a team fight when you're already behind, you're just going to make the situation worse. You're just going to have to like lose the Dragon and just try and force a fight at a tower or something where you've got that help. And like for example, as a carry, that's sort of the role of the person who gets kills. You're really just going to want to farm up. I'd say play safe the early game, like just basically get as many last hits as you can, get that farm going, because that's what's going to help you late game. If you can get a kill, that's great, but if you die trying to get that kill as a carry, your early game is just going to be like much tougher. It's going to be really hard to snowball into late game when you're just going to be able to like wreck the enemy team.
Unless it's first blood, in my opinion.
Yeah,
In my opinion, the death is worth it at level 1 if you get the first blood from it.
100%. Without a shadow of a doubt it is. I'm going to say that's the only time I would tower dive at level 1 if I could guarantee I would get it. But the last
I think depending on... Go ahead, Jay.
No,
sorry.
no, go on, because I was going to move on to the last role, which is support. But so yeah, what were you going to say about the carries?
Well, I was just going to say it depends also, not necessarily... You were talking maybe only specifically about carries, but like, I want to point out that in a lot of circumstances, actually, it's better. Like, say you're Malphite and they have an Ashe, and you know you're gonna die but you know you're gonna kill her too. It's better for you to get the kill. You know, like a tank trading kills with a carry favors the tank's team.
Yeah, a lot.
So like, if you're the carry, you don't want to trade 1-to-1 with their tank but trading 1-to-1 with their carry is generally not so bad.
Then again, on the
So,
reverse
I mean-
as well, I've seen scenarios where like a full health carry will dive like maybe you if you're on low HP, and if you can just like kite them around tower enough so they die as well, I'd consider that a good trade as well. If you were on low
yeah.
health and
I
they
remember
come
the other
straight
day I
back
was
from
playing-
full health.
I remember the other day I was playing Vladimir and I was at like 200 HP at level 4, and they tried to dive me at tower, both of them, and I just pooled underneath them to keep them slowed, and the tower killed both of them for me.
Oh yeah, tower diving is. We could do a whole fucking topic on that too. So, but we do need to wrap this up because this is already long as hell, and this is only the first episode out of like 20. So, you guys have anything final to add?
I was just going to quickly go over the support role and what's expected. Basically, the support role is to babysit your carries. Make sure they get as much farm as possible. Keep the enemy away from your carry. And then sort of thing, in team fights, you should be the one sitting at the back just racking up assists by either CCing, which is basically just making the other enemy champs useless, whether it's knock up, blinding, or anything like that. Basically, you want to just be supporting your team without actually getting in there trying to steal the kills and deal that much damage.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we'll go over these in more detail in the future in a different video, but yeah, that's the three general. It's like a carry, a tank, and a support, and every team should have at least one of all of them if it's a balanced team.
Yep, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think that's about it. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry for all the problems. Hopefully I can get my internet fixed in the near future, and look forward to some more videos. I'll probably be doing some videos with Jay, and I'm sure Al will be in some more in the future. So, you guys got anything to add?
No, I don't think I have anything.
No, nothing here. Hope you guys have
fun.
enjoyed it. In fact, actually, yeah, just leave comments on my own, this video and WatchMeSC's video. I'll post a link. But obviously, yeah, I'm talking to like two different viewers, which is quite weird.
Yeah, like he said, make sure you leave comments. Let us know anything we missed, anything we covered incorrectly, anything you want us to cover. If,
I want to stop you right there. Like, anything we missed, I'm going to say, for example, like, we didn't even talk about, like, focusing and stuff. We probably will have missed stuff, but we probably will have got them in, maybe in the future. So I think a better way of putting that is basically what you want to see, or what you want us to talk about and discuss, rather than what we've missed. If there's something you really want us to go over, and there's enough, responses about it, then we will. I'm pretty sure, yeah?
Okay, yeah, that's pretty fair. Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. So, okay, well that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. Look forward to seeing more of these, okay?
Alright, see you guys
It was fun.
later.
Later.